Hello, everyone, and welcome to Math 2412 for Summer 1. My name's Terry Barnes, and I'll be helping you through this journey. I wanted to take this orientation video as an opportunity to show you how my course is set up and what the expectations are. So let's begin by looking at the setup on the front page. So on this side, we have announcements. Right here in this corner, we have course content. This will be most of the things that you will need. Over here, we have the Pearson app, and you will be using that to do all your homework and testing. So all three of those areas are important. Let's go one by one through them and see what we have. So instructor plan is the syllabus. So let's look at that. We're not going to read the whole thing. You should read the whole thing, but I'm not going to spend that time here doing that. So there is some instructor information, my email, my office number. I'm not on campus this summer, but if you called that number and left me a message, it would send me an email and then I could listen to the voicemail. So if you needed to do that, you could. Um, you do not have to have, a hard copy of the text. It's included, the electronic book is included with your tuition, so you don't have to worry about that. Um, you do have to have a graphing calculator. You're going to need that to survive in the course. If you have a different calculator that you're very familiar with and will do what we do, you're welcome to use it, but this is the one I will teach with. All right. We'll go down here. There's some objectives that we'll be covering. Attendance. You should not miss 25% of the online course, or you could be withdrawn. So for us, we're in here for 6 weeks, and I take attendance weekly, and we'll talk about how that happens in a minute. But if you miss more than 2 weeks, according to the attendance policy, after that you could be dropped if you had 3 weeks. So it's really easy to avoid that. You just need to work on something every week, and you should be doing that anyway to be ready and be successful at the end of the course. So there's the full policy, and then if we get down a little further, I'll show you mine. But here is a general calendar. I have a little bit different one in the calendar hub. So this is just general, shows you all the things we're going to cover. Grading. My course is divided into homework, tests, and final exam. The homework you can do over and over again till you get 100. After 3 tries at a question, it will regenerate and give you different numbers. Um, so you can redo it right then and take another question, or you can come back to it later. But that homework counts 30% of your total average. We have 6 tests plus a comprehensive final. There are no makeup tests, but each chapter test can be taken twice, and the higher grade counts. If you make what you want on the first try, certainly you don't have to take it a second time. Those tests count as a 50% of your final average. In the red, it's really important before each test is available, online or face-to-face, all the homework assignments must be completed with at least a 70 for that unit. So if you made a 60 on a homework and you passed all the others, it's still not going to open. The test won't open till you have a passing grade on each homework item for that chapter. The final exam is cumulative, covers everything. You get to only take that once, so you want to really prepare for that. It will count 20% of your final average. Um, I do round up, so I get that question often. So if your final grade is 89.54, you're going to get a 90. If you have a 79.3, unfortunately, you get a 79. So I do round up with traditional rounding rules. Um, and the rest of that, I think you could read yourself. So that's kind of the main points of the syllabus. Let's go to the next thing. All right, so there's some summer resources, student resources for the summer, and some just-in-time resources. Let's go to this calendar. I said it would be a little bit different, not much. I just have some dates there. So June 1st, everything's available except the final exam. It will not be available till June 28th, and that's a week before the course ends. So you will have a week in which to work on attack that final exam. Everything else is there. You can work on it. You can be flexible. You can make your own schedule. You must work every week, but you don't have to finish a certain amount in the first 3 days or any of that. This is meant for you to uh, be able to be flexible. So keep that in mind. Final everything will be due July 7th at 6 p.m. And I take attendance. So let's say you finished all the work except the final in 4 weeks. I'm not going to count you absent because you can't work on anything else till the final exam. But until all that work's done, you could be counted absent if you don't do some work in a week. So just discounting the final. All right, let's go look at the next one. All right, so we have contact info. That's again, my email and all of that. There's some calculator help here. Um, Probably you don't need that, but if you do, there's some resources for the TI-84 and for the Inspire, so that could be helpful. Now, this part is the meat of the course. So if we click here, we got problem sets, lecture notes, lecture videos. And so if you were in my face-to-face class, you would come to class and you would have a set of problems that had been handed out. That's the problem sets. And instead of a book, we would be going over the problem sets. And the lecture notes would match those and help you with those. And then you'd be ready to attack the homework. If you still needed help after being in my class on a Tuesday and you get home and you don't remember what we said, there's a video for every homework section. So you've got a problem set, a set of lecture notes, and a video for every section. If you need to, you go through all of that before you do the homework. If you look at the problems and the lecture notes and you say, I got this, let me just go to the homework, you're certainly welcome to do that. So let's look at these. So they are divided by chapters, and the trig is chapter part of 6, 7, and 8. So that's there. The 4 and 5 are really a review of college algebra. They should go quickly for you, but let's go to chapter 4. There are 7 sections. Let's look at 4.1. All right, so this one says find the intercepts of the equation. And then we go down and we're talking about zeros. And so a lot of this should be somewhat familiar to you because college algebra and trig are often the prereqs for pre-calc. But if not, you're going to go over this and we'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. And so we go down and there's probably how many questions do we have here? 17, I believe. And like I said, it should be review. The answers, the flat answers are at the end of this document. So they're there, but that's a problem set. Let's go look at the lecture notes that are paired to that. So you would come back here, you go to lecture notes, you go to chapter 4 and 4.1, and that should pull up. And so if you were in class, we would be going over these notes. What is a polynomial function? What's the domain? How do you find the degree? That sort of thing. And then we would talk about symmetry. This is all what we would be doing in class. Then we would get to the problems and we'd work on them. So in the lecture notes for you, I have put the worked out problems here. And like this one, we used a calculator. So there's some screenshots. We go down further, um, and I've made notes and talk about transformations. We get down here. Um, there's just all the work for those particular problems. But that may not be enough. Maybe you still need to hear the explanations. And so let's go see about the videos. So the last of these three is the lecture videos, and I have a YouTube channel for every course I teach. So for pre-cal, these come from my pre-cal channel. And here's chapter 4 playlist. And there will be a video for every section. And here it is. So that first one has a lot of problems, and that's 23 minutes. You get down here, and this one's only 11 minutes. So you see there's a difference, but I'm talking you through what is written for those sections. So let's go back to our main thing. All right, so there is this boom card activity is not, I don't think that's actually available. There are some handouts, um, college algebra notes, hyperbola, ellipse, parabola, that's for chapter 10, TI Inspire help. There's some trig, quite a few trig things. So lots of handouts and references for you. And then the last thing that might be of importance here is the final exam review. If you click on that, this says review these homework assignments to narrow your focus in studying for the final exam. So it says go back to the homework in section 4.1 and look at question number 16. Go to section 10.3 and look at number 12. So this gives you a way to focus in to study for that final exam. So that takes care of everything there. Now let's assume that you have gone over the problem sets, the lecture notes, and watch the video for 4.1, and you are ready to do the homework. So there's two places to access Pearson. You can click this purple oblong here, or you could do a pull down here and open in a new window. But let's go ahead and click here on the Open Pearson. And when you get in here, you won't have these instructor tools, that's mine, but open My Lab and Mastering, this yellow here. And when you do, you should see your assignments. Okay, they're all here. They have the due date. Remember, they're all due July 7th. They're all clickable links. This tells you when it's a test, there's a green flag that's going to remind you you got to make 70 on those previous homework sections. There's 120 minutes for that exam, and that you can have it twice. Um, I actually went into this one. That's why that says 1 of 2 incomplete. I went in to look at something there. So yours will say 0 of 2. And all of those go down there. Now your final exam is not showing because it's not available now. I have made everything else available already for the video. So you will have the final exam down here. But let's look at the homework that we've been talking about 4.1. So let's go here. And remember, we had about 17 questions on the problem set, and it looks like that's about what we've got in the homework here. And so it says you have an unlimited per question. Um, that actually you get 3 tries before it regenerates. So let's go here and look at 4.1 just to give you an idea. Select the correct answer that completes the sentence below. Oh, that is not, let me get a different one. I wanted one that we could see the work. Okay. Determine whether the following function is polynomial. If it is, state its degree. If not, tell why not. and then write it in standard form, identify leading term and the constant term. You will have learned all of that. But um, I'm going to put it is polynomial degree, and then I'm going to put a fraction here. I'm just going to put some stuff here, and I'm going to put a 1 and a 2. And I'm going to check my answer. Okay, one or more of your responses is incorrect. It's going to give you a hint, right? And so I'm not going to clear anything or whatever. I'm going to, oh, I got to go to another part. Okay. This wasn't a good one. Wasn't a good one. Hold on one sec. Okay, I went through and did this 3 times, and it says that's incorrect. And here's my correct answer, and this is what I answered. So it gives me um, the information for what I should have answered and what I did answer, and then I could go to part 2. So you can try 3 times before it will count it wrong. All right, and then you can do it again. Now this part down here. Um, Write the polynomial in standard form. I'm going to put it's not a polynomial and check the answer. And that was right. So right there, that part was right. Now, I didn't get this one right. So I can go here and hit see similar. It's going to regenerate the question, and I'll do it again, and hopefully I would get it right. So at that point, that's what you can do. Now, when you're working on your homework, I want you to remember that if you need help, you can totally email me, but here's how I'd like you to do it. If you go to Get More Help and click there and do Ask My Instructor, this is going to come directly to me. It's going to have your specific question that you're working on with your numbers, and then enter a question or a comment, and that's going to give me exactly what you're working on. It's the best way for me to help you. So if you need help on homework, don't just send me an email and say, I don't know how to do number 5. Well, I need you to go in there because and you don't need to screenshot things or anything. This will send me exactly what I need to see. So just tell me what you've tried or what you're having trouble with on that particular question, and then you can send it to me. So that's how I would like you to request help on the homework. So there's that. All right, let's get out of here. All right, I got out of there and I want to show you the grade book. So if we went to the grade book here, I worked on 4.1. Well, I did that. It's not showing 4.1. I don't know why it's not showing that. Probably because I didn't finish it. But this is where you could see your scores. There are 35 homework items, 1 quiz, that's the final exam, and 6 regular tests. This will tell me when you worked on it, how long it took you. So if it's a lengthy assignment and you did it in 3 minutes, I'm going to be wondering, what AI or help you had on that homework or that test. So keep that in mind as you work. Um, and many of the tests have show work questions that show work. Let's go over here. Let's go to assignments. When we go to the test, and I believe it was this one, if I went in here, um, if you're in the test, some of the questions will say show work. And if you have a tablet, you might be able to just do it right there in the test question, because it'll give you a space to write, and then that will submit. But if not, you can do your work on paper, handwritten, take a picture of it, upload that into the test. If that becomes difficult for you, you can email me that work for, say, chapter 5, there's several that you have to show your work on. But you don't get full credit without that work being shown, either written in your tablet or written on paper and uploaded that way. So remember, that's how we're going to do those show work questions. Not all of them are that way, and not all tests have that, but most of them have a few um, that I want to see your work. All right, let's go out of here. Okay, I think that gives you an overall view of the course. I look forward to working with you, and let me know whenever you need help.